Good evening, everybody. This is a stock market recap for Wednesday, April 2nd, Tariff Day. Things ended up being worse than what all the analysts were expecting, as far as they thought they would just be a certain level of tariffs across the boards, but some countries got hit worse than others, so that means different companies will be hit harder than others and will be affected. We've got the news out of the way. We had this kind of equilibrium playing out, and we have broken bear now on it without follow through at this time, but we are definitely at risk of potentially losing more. Since we came straight down like this, we still have bullish divergence as far as we're making a lower low on stock price itself, and we're seeing still a higher low on RSI. So there's still bullish divergence here in effect, and that is kind of holding us up a little bit at this time potentially. But yeah, we're definitely at risk of potentially losing this now, and so we're seeing how the fallout is. Essentially now we're kind of at risk of other news headlines that other countries might start adding their own, or retaliationary tariffs. I don't know. My kind of opinion on this is that it was harsh across it was harsh, definitely. But I think it's up to the countries themselves to kind of, they could choose whether they go on the offense, or if they play a little defense and maybe minimize their deficit on their end so much. So I think that's what these countries are probably, because we're getting hit across the boards as far as every country is going to be hit on the stock market. Now they're talking about potential rate cuts happening as far as the stock market goes. So now that is in question. If we do end up seeing more downside, rate cuts will definitely be talked about more. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting the rest of this week to see who hits back and who minimizes theirs. And the biggest things that are going to affect are the biggest economies. Obviously, China is a big one, and same with Japan and Canada and whatnot. And there was a lot with the European Union as well. So yeah, we're gonna see how this all unfolds, I guess. But yeah, at this time we have a breakdown, no follow through, and potentially right into a bounce. Like, we broke down on the hourly and then straight into an hourly bounce, and hopefully we see a 4-hour bounce and we can make as big of a move as possible on a 4-hour bounce. But we would just be looking for a lower high at this time than 57.73. But yeah, if we do not hold this bottom now, the reaction of the move, now we're looking at this previous level here, 53.94, and then if that can't hold, then we're looking at 51.20, which is this is a 2.5% move down, and to this support, and I can't remember, So from here, that's a 2.6% move down and 7.6% move down. Ideally this doesn't happen, and the fear now that the news is out, there is a potential that could mark a bottom as well. Now we know what we're dealing with as far as what was in his head, because it was the great unknown at this time. So we'll see how we open up in the morning. A lot can change in overnight futures. A lot can happen in the news. The headlines are definitely there's gonna be lots of them. So now that we're in this daily downtrend, whenever we bottom out, we're just gonna be looking for a lower high than 57.73 at this time. I think it was quite a significant move, down 5% in a couple hours, 2 hours, down 5%. So that was quite a significant move to see. So that's SPY futures. We're just changing we've changed the 15-minute trend. If you can keep holding the 15-minute trend, and we start this 4-hour bounce, then I would be looking at the 15-minute loss of the 15-minute uptrend to potentially that, or 15-minute overbought to mark our 4-hour lower high on the way up. We'll see. At this time, we're not even in. We're still at the 0.236, so it's not a significant bounce at this time. We need to see more. So the Nasdaq, even more weakness. We've made a lower low again, but once again, no follow through on the lower low at this time. Kind of, we're still seeing, yeah. So we are seeing at this time still a falling wedge kind of potentially playing out here. Let's see how we lost that. Whenever this bottoms out, we are just looking for a lower high on the way back up. Then this is for the Nasdaq, 20,044. Also, yeah, so a lot of these, and the reason why the Nasdaq's been affected slightly more is because a lot of the tech companies, they've been outsourcing their chips. They're in Taiwan, they're in China, they're definitely, because they're mass producing stuff, they are like Apple and Microsoft and all these companies, Nvidia, they're all gone. They've all left the US, and so yeah, they're at risk of more and more tariffs, especially. So that is the overhead risk now. So now we're just looking at this support right here, 18,339 potentially if that doesn't hold, and then we have this further one at 17,351. I feel like things would have to get pretty ugly at that point. I'm still hoping that this is a falling wedge type thing pattern playing out, and we do have bullish divergence still on the daily RSI as well, because we're making lower lows on the price action without making lower lows on the RSI. So that means these moves are getting weaker essentially. And that's where you start seeing these falling wedges start to play out. So the Dow is holding up stronger because they're not making products. There is consumer products actually on the Dow, like Amazon and Apple and such, but it's less weighted for that, and it's more healthcare and financial stuff like that. Is keeping this from falling so much more significantly, and that's why it's holding up better. And we've actually held our we've lost this support, but we've actually held our weekly support at this time. So that is the most important level at this time. But the Dow is holding up relatively stronger than the rest of the stock market, and it, I guess, essentially, XLF and XLV have been the reason why. The Russell is definitely at more risk, and we saw a bit more follow through at this point. Reason being, there's just more risk for their for things going wrong with these smaller companies because they're not as established. SMH, how did we do on this? Yeah, down quite a bit. Now we've lost this major trend line that I was kind of looking at. We'll see how we open up in the morning, but I'm still looking at this major trend line, but that's also a head and shoulders with a big right shoulder here. And we could be at risk of a lot of downside. But yeah, we still have a couple supports nearby that can save us, so we'll see how tomorrow looks and go from there. But all these names, basically everything, we are just looking for daily lower highs. So when they finally bounce out, start bouncing, you start seeing hourly uptrends, we're just looking for daily lower highs once they start happening. So Meta's looking at the low after hours, looking at support tomorrow morning. Nvidia's looking at the low. Palantir, quite a big red candle. Yeah, so everything's going to be looking at the lows or opening lower tomorrow morning. So I'm not going to go through everything. Just the main thing is that we are still fairly extended to the downside. So I'm not expecting a huge move down at this time. Obviously, headlines though, with that is the wild card. And as I was wondering with the tariff news, it was worse than I had suspected and was hoping it would be. So, yeah, now we're at risk of losing this our bull setup that we potentially had, our bullish double bottom we had here on S&P and through the other sectors. So hopefully we see a good bounce overnight, and we're looking at a 4-hour lower high, and we can ideally what I want to see is this at least make the 0.5 on the way back up. If we can open up tomorrow closer to on the ES futures closer to 56.26, I would be more comfortable that we may have set a low in than if we open up like closer to the lows. So hopefully we can get a bit of a bounce. And we're already hourly oversold with major bullish divergence here. So yeah, basically, like I've been saying here, price is making a lower low, and RSI is making a higher low. So we have massive divergence. With news, it could definitely affect these things more though. So that is the problem, is the headline news, and it can bring us extra volume to confirm the news. So we'll see how futures shape up. I'm hopeful that we will get enough room to set a higher low on the way back down, and we're not just going to bear flag here and be at risk of, yeah, if we can get over here 552, 5,592 on the way back up, then we'll have a little bit more comfortability that we're not just going to head straight back down even lower tomorrow. And maybe we'll see good news come out of overnight. And well, I mean, it's kind of just hoping at this point. That's the bad part about this, about having stock market wide bad news. Now everyone's kind of feeling this, but I'm not expecting a huge move to the downside at this time. And yeah, that's all I have to say about this tonight. And I will see you tomorrow for tomorrow's recap, and hopefully with positive news and after a good bounce. All right, take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.